Resident Evil Requiem covers many interesting lore moments that are still unclear to us. Zeno's story is still not revealed, just like the officially unexplained atonement from Oswald Spencer, namely the creation of the Elpis vaccine against the viruses that were created under his patronage, and on top of that, during the final years of his life, gifting Grace, his adopted daughter, a new happy life with her new mother, Alyssa Ashcroft. A lot remains unclear, a lot of questions like why, how, and for what reason. But today, we are going to discuss and debate at least one of the lore moments that still remains unclear to many people, namely BSAA's involvement in the situation surrounding Elpis. In this video, we will try to answer the most important question: what was BSAA's real goal in Resident Evil 9? What did they want to do with Elpis? Capture it and transport it back to their base as a specimen for further experiments and the creation of new soldiers? Or did they actually want to protect it from the large syndicate, the Connections, who wanted to use Grace and Zeno to seize it, continue experiments on it, and sell BOW on the black market? Let's figure it out. My name is Cyrus Nova and welcome to my new discussional video about Resident Evil Requiem. Let's first understand what BSAA is and what their original goal was. So, BSAA, or Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance, is an international counter-bioterrorism paramilitary organization that was formed primarily by Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine. The organization was originally created as a means of more effectively fighting the growing use of bioweapons after the collapse of the Umbrella Corporation. Since then, they carried out many different operations aimed at eliminating the spread of biological weapons all over the world, and at first they were regarded as an organization that fought against different BOWs. This tendency and trend, unfortunately, continued until the events at the end of Resident Evil Village. As we all remember, BSAA sent their forces there in order to destroy the Black God together with Mother Miranda. At the same time, Chris Redfield entered the village together with his squad, Hound Wolf Squad, who had exactly the same goal as BSAA, but both groups operated independently from each other. During the mission, Chris Redfield discovered that all of the BSAA soldiers had fallen in battle against the Black God, while Chris's squad eventually achieved victory and evacuated from the village together with one BSAA soldier. But at that moment, the entire squad, including Chris, was shocked. They saw that this soldier had actually turned out to be a modified mutant, or more simply put, a bioweapon. This immediately raised questions about BSAA's decision to use their bioweapons in order to destroy other bioweapons. At that moment, Chris Redfield orders his team to head to the European BSAA headquarters in order to get answers to the questions that had now been raised. In other words, the organization that once fought against bioweapons all around the world had now become a mirror of Umbrella and was using bioweapons supposedly for the sake of fighting another bioweapons. And on this fundamental lore point in Resident Evil, the story of the upcoming Resident Evil 10 could very well be built. What do you think about that? Write your thoughts in the comments below. Now let's move on to the second to last question. How did they even end up in Raccoon City, a city that was destroyed 28 years ago as a result of a massive thermobaric explosion? Well, it all began back in 2023 when BSAA became interested in a secret facility called ARC, where we arrived at the end of Resident Evil Requiem, the laboratory where secret experiments were conducted personally under Spencer's supervision and where the Elpis vaccine was also created. In October 2026, BSAA secretly deployed personnel into the ruins of the Raccoon City quarantine zone with the intention of just confirming the existence of ARC. At the same time, the mission was originally classified at the highest level, so much so that even the segment of the US government that had not been fully bought out by the syndicate, the Connections, knew nothing about it. But the secrecy did not last long, because Sherry informed Leon that as soon as the Pentagon learned of the presence of BSAA personnel in Raccoon City, the Pentagon began putting pressure on the organization, demanding a report regarding the unauthorized deployment. And as we already know from Resident Evil Requiem, forward operating comms were established within the city limits, including one located inside the destroyed RPD building. By the time Leon Kennedy arrived in Raccoon City on October 9th, while pursuing Victor Gideon and trying to rescue the repeatedly kidnapped Grace Ashcroft yet again, both camps had already been abandoned. The BSAA units deployed inside the city had suffered heavy losses. At least one group was ambushed and killed by Zeno, who was operating in coordination with operatives connected to the Connections. By the way, my new video about Zeno is already on my channel, so don't forget to check it out. The bodies of the fallen BSAA operators were later discovered by Leon, who extracted video footage from the helmet camera of one of the dead soldiers. The recording confirmed the presence of Zeno and could also indirectly indicate the presence of the connection soldiers operating inside the quarantine zone. Later in the game, we can also discover that other BSAA soldiers operating in the area had been infected with the T-virus and turned into zombies. We fight some of them even in the abandoned apartments, both inside and on the rooftop of the building. And at the end of the game, as we all know, Chris learned about the existence of ARC as well as about BSAA's activities in the ruins and sent in that same legendary Hound Wolf squad. In the end, they managed to save Leon and Grace from the ruins of the laboratory and obtain samples of Elpis. But then begins the most interesting plot twist, which actually explains a lot. After Hound Wolf Squad's operation, Leon and Grace leave Raccoon City, leaving behind the regular BSAA personnel to conduct search and rescue operations and secure the incident zone. And at this point, I'm speaking specifically about regular, normal BSAA personnel. I will explain later why this is important. And then, suddenly, as we know from the final post-credit scene, a few hours later, the Connections forces arrive at the ruins of ARC, kill the BSAA soldiers, and retrieve some kind of object which was not shown to us in the game. And now we are approaching the main question, the one we really need to discuss and even theorize about for the first time. So why did BSAA even go into ARC at all, and what was their final, actual objective? The first reason I can think of is that they most likely considered Elpis to be a weapon, just like Zeno and the Connections also believed it to be. Judging by the logic of the events, BSAA did not go there for a cure for humanity. They went there because Elpis was perceived as an object of colossal strategic value, either as a new biotechnological asset or as a means of controlling any viral threats, or maybe as a tool that would give the organization absolute superiority. And that is very much in the spirit of the already corrupted BSAA after Village. They no longer look like a purely humanitarian anti-BOW structure. They look like an organization that wants to control biological power, not simply destroy it. Secondly, if we go deeper into this topic, then it can be said that Elpis is dangerous even as a cure, because if you possess a substance that can, let's say, cure the infected or disable viral mutations or nullify BOW effects, then you gain a geopolitical superweapon, even if it is not a weapon in the classic sense. You may ask, why is that? Why exactly geopolitical superweapon, or how is it called? Because with Elpis, they could further blackmail the US government and even other governments, control antiviral supply chains, decide who gets saved among important high-ranking individuals and who does not, render foreign BOW programs meaningless, and of course monopolize the fight against bioterrorism. That is exactly why not only evil scientists are hunting for it, but also structures like BSAA. So Victor in principle was actually correct when he said that Elpis is power over all biological warfare, and that Spencer gave them anarchy in a world where any enemy BOW can now simply become meaningless. And this right here could absolutely be explored further and could very well serve as a very strong foundation for the story of Resident Evil 10. So, to put it more simply, BSAA ended up in Raccoon City not to save the world, but rather to take Elpis for themselves. That is, to obtain something that could radically change the entire balance of power and possibly use it in their own mutated soldiers to make them completely immune to all viruses that Oswald Spencer and the Umbrella Corporation once created. And unfortunately, this hits BSAA's image directly, because originally this was the organization of the great Chris Redfield, as well as other people who survived the nightmare in Raccoon City, and BSAA were exactly the ones who were supposed to teach the world lessons about fighting against bioweapons. But unfortunately, as people often say, they fought the monster for so long that they became like it themselves. Although there is still hope for BSAA, because not all of BSAA has completely rotted away. The problem may not be with the regular bioweapon mutated soldiers, but rather with the certain branches that may have been corrupted by the Connections, some close bioweapon development programs, and so on. It is possible that there is now a real split within BSAA. One part is trying to remain the real BSAA that fights against bioweapons, while the other part is already thinking like a technocratic biomilitary power structure. And that is exactly why Chris will remain so important for future Resident Evil entries. he could become the one who either breaks the current BSAA or separates from it completely and limits himself to expanding Hound Wolf Squad. Write in the comments below what you think about BSAA and their involvement in the situation surrounding Ark and Elpis, but for now that's it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't skip my new videos about Resident Evil franchise. My name is Cyrus Nova and thank you for watching my new discussional video about Resident Evil Requiem.
It's been a while since you've been back there.
Yeah.